Democracy works best when people are not treated as an audience, but as an active part of it. Governing demands the same. The Office of Mass Engagement will organize participation across this city, proactively reach those that have been excluded, and ensure that public feedback is embedded directly into how we design policies, deliver services, and make decisions. The Office of Mass Engagement reflects how we intend to govern, with humility, openness, and a firm belief that democracy is strongest when it belongs to the people, not just in theory, but in practice. How's it going, sir? Thank you. All right. Okay. Is everybody good with the shot? Yes? Good by the press? Is Joe Anuda sitting on the floor somewhere? No. My goodness. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. One year ago this month, hundreds of New Yorkers gathered on a bright and bitterly cold Saturday morning right here at Grand Army Plaza. It was 6 months before the Democratic primary for mayor. We were in the low single digits in the polls at best. Every ounce of conventional wisdom said that our campaign was not supposed to work. Surely there was a better way to spend a Saturday than knocking on doors, talking to strangers, and crossing the small but real distances that separate us from one another. And yet, New Yorkers showed up at a moment when so many people feel isolated from one another and distant from a political system that can feel closed or unresponsive. They made a deliberate choice, not to be bystanders, but to become participants. Their own politics and their own vision for New York City being the driving force behind what they were going to do. And that meant knocking on doors of people who lived just blocks away, but whom they had never met. It meant asking questions instead of assuming answers. It meant listening instead of lecturing, finding common ground. And that experience taught us something simple and profound. Democracy works best when people are not treated as an audience, but as an active part of it. Governing demands the same. That is why we are here today. We are gathered at Grand Army Plaza, surrounded by powerful symbols of public life. The central branch of the Brooklyn Public Library, designed like an open book, a statement that knowledge should be shared and accessible to all. The Soldiers and Sailors Arch, a Civil War monument honoring those who fought in a war waged for a new birth of freedom and the expansion of democracy itself. Prospect Park, public space built not to be exclusive or ornamental, but to be shared. These are reminders of a belief that once guided this city, that public infrastructure should be generous, beautiful, and open. But a city is not held together by buildings alone. It is held together by trust and by whether people feel connected to the decisions that shape their life. That social infrastructure has been neglected for too long. Too often, engagement is fragmented or symbolic. Too often, people are asked for input, but never see how it shapes outcomes. Today, that changes. With the signing of this executive order, we will be establishing the Mayor's Office of Mass Engagement. A fundamental part of city government dedicated to rebuilding our social infrastructure at scale. This office, combining and reorienting the existing Community Affairs Unit, Public Engagement Unit, and other initiatives, starts from a simple premise. Working New Yorkers know what they need to thrive. Our job is to make sure government listens, consistently and with real consequence. The Office of Mass Engagement will organize participation across this city, proactively reach those that have been excluded, and ensure that public feedback is embedded directly into how we design policies, deliver services, and make decisions. And to lead this work, I am proud to announce that Tasha Van Auken will serve as commissioner. Since President Obama's first campaign in 2008 to her leadership in New York City DSA, Tasha has spent more than a decade organizing at scale, developing leadership, building trust, and helping working people turn priorities into action. On our campaign, she mobilized more than 100,000 volunteers who knocked on more than 3 million doors. Not just to win an election, but to build leadership and a real sense of community across this city. She also spent many years working at the Blue Man Group, which means she brings both organizing discipline and an unusual tolerance for chaos. The Office of Mass Engagement reflects how we intend to govern, with humility, openness, and a firm belief that democracy is strongest when it belongs to the people, not just in theory, but in practice. And we should be clear about how this work will be judged, not by how many meetings we hold or surveys we collect, but by whether people can see their voices reflected in the decisions that we make. Judge us by whether engagement changes outcomes. Just as past generations invested in the public spaces around us, this administration is investing in the civic fabric that holds our city together. And that same commitment to openness, participation, and rebuilding trust in our institutions guides how we approach every part of city government. That is why today I am also announcing that Ali Najmi will serve as chair of the Mayor's Advisory Committee on the Judiciary. Under Ali's leadership, this committee will take on a more public and engaged role, reaching beyond City Hall to the wider legal community, demystifying the judicial selection process, expanding who participates in shaping our courts, and ensuring that our city's judicial system applies the rule of law universally and does so without favor. This includes proactive engagement with legal services organizations, bar associations, and minority and affinity bars, with the goal of widening the pipeline and strengthening confidence in our judiciary. Ali is a civil rights and election attorney with deep experience in our local courts, a longtime bar association leader who has helped diversify the judiciary in Queens, and someone I've known and admired for more than a decade as a friend, an attorney, and a leader in this city. Tasha Van Auken, Ali, welcome to a new era in our city. I look forward to building it with you together.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you to everyone who's here today. As a kid growing up in Park Slope and later Flatbush, the Brooklyn Public Library, this branch, was a constant in my life. Its soaring facade and open entrance felt like an invitation, a promise that knowledge, curiosity, and possibility belonged to everyone. I spent hours inside of there researching school papers, scrolling through microfilm, not to date myself here, but lots of time with microfilm, trying to make sense of the world and my place in it. I didn't know it then, but I was learning something essential, that when public spaces are built with care and openness, They don't just serve cities, they help shape the people who move through them. That lesson deepened for me at Edward R. Murrow High School, where I was profoundly influenced by the late principal Saul Bruckner. He believed fiercely in young people and in the role public institutions can play in helping them find their voice. He taught generations of students that they mattered and that participation wasn't reserved for someone else. And yet, despite that early confidence, I spent many years trying to figure out how to engage politically in a way that felt meaningful, something that went beyond a one-off protest or a single campaign, but built power over time. That clarity started during the first presidential campaign of Barack Obama. It was there that I learned the transformative power of relationships, from learning alongside volunteer leaders to the simple but powerful act of canvassing a stranger. What I learned in 2008 stayed with me through organizing with the New York City Democratic Socialists of America and later serving in government as chief of staff to Assemblywoman Farah Souffrant-Forrest. I kept returning to the same question. How do we build participation that lasts, where people don't just show up once, but develop the confidence and the relationships to shape real outcomes? That question came into sharp focus this past year. In Mayor Mamdani's campaign, more than 100,000 volunteers knocked on over more than 3 million doors across the city. But those aren't abstract numbers. They represent millions of conversations between neighbors who might never otherwise have met. They represent relationships built, confidence gained, and civic capacity that will last beyond any single campaign. Many of those incredible volunteers and organizers are standing with us today and everywhere. You all changed New York City, and I'm so grateful to you. At a time when so many people feel cynical, overwhelmed, or isolated, often alone with their phones, we found a way back to one another. Some of the most meaningful moments for me were when somebody would say, "I never thought of myself as political," and then describe the community and purpose that they found through this work. In many cases, it didn't just change how they saw politics, it changed how they saw themselves. That is what brings me to this role and to the work of the Office of Mass Engagement. The Office of Mass Engagement is about taking that ethos and making it part of how government works. It brings together public engagement efforts that have too often been siloed, streamlining them under a single coordinated office with the responsibility to make engagement meaningful across City Hall. It's about organizing participation at scale, strengthening feedback loops so public input shapes policy, and building the relationships and systems, human and digital, that make long-term co-governance possible. As commissioner, my commitment is simple and serious: to help build a government that works for all New Yorkers, invites them in, and treats their participation as consequential. A government that doesn't just ask for input, but acts on it, and one that helps New Yorkers see themselves not as spectators, but as co-creators of our shared future. I'm deeply honored to take on this responsibility. And I'm excited to build this work alongside the mayor, our partner agency, and most importantly, the people of this city. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. Mr. Mayor, thank you for appointing me to be your chair of this advisory committee on the judiciary. As an attorney who has litigated in the courts of this city for 15 years, I know and I have seen firsthand the power that judges have on people, regular people, working people, and attorneys. And it is this committee's directive to find and recruit the best judges in the city of New York, the most qualified, the ones who understand what it means for people to appear before them in criminal court, in family court. And it is the directive of this committee to reach out to the wider legal community and to the attorneys who have toiled for indigent legal services, for the attorneys who have represented families who have represented parents and children in family court, who have dedicated their life to making this city and this state a more just place. To those attorneys, I want to tell you that you have an opportunity to also become a judge, and that this committee will reach out to every nook and cranny of this legal community to encourage that we have the best, most robust, diverse applicant pool for the judiciary. Mr. Mayor, thank you for entrusting me with this service.
All right, guys, get down. Everybody gets the shot.
I'm going over my head. I want someone to squeeze in the middle here.
Yellow back down, please.
Stand down for the media, please.
Down.
Everyone go down. Thank you.
Lower, please.
Yeah, I mean, we're in this section.
You okay back there?
Yeah.
Matt, you want me to move, Matt? Matt, talk to me.
Take a little bit.